From another part of the world, the Mesoamerican account of human origins reported in the Popol Vuh speaks of early humans being produced by those who engineer. Their chief genetic technician is referred to as Kukulkan or Cucumatz or Quetzalcoatl. He is another dragon-like entity in our ancestors' memories of beginnings. Quetzalcoatl is described as a feathered serpent. His job is to engineer a new kind of hominid. His instructions were simple: make avatars for us to work for us and bring us our food. In the Bible, Yahweh presides over a human population who serve him, follow his instructions, and bring a continual supply of edible offerings. For example, Numbers 31:17 reports that after one raid on a neighboring community, Yahweh demands that his human avatars bring him 675 sheep and goats, 72 cattle, 61 donkeys, 32 virgin girls, and 420 pounds of gold. The humans, he says, can keep the rest. This would seem a strange request if Yahweh were an almighty God. But what did the entity Yahweh want with all those edible offerings? Was it possible that they were intended to be consumed not by Yahweh himself, but by his priests? From the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Hebrew Scriptures, comes a surprising clue. In it, a book called Bel and the Dragon mocks a competing society who have all the same pattern of worship that surrounded Yahweh, including the regular task of providing their powerful one with continual edible offerings. The joke in the story of Bel and the Dragon is that the huge tent supposedly holding their dragon is empty. The priests are pretending the powerful one is still in the tent, pretending to visit him as the people's go-betweens. In reality, it is the priests who are eating all the edible offerings brought by the people. This story is told to contrast the competing people group with the people of Yahweh. The people of Yahweh had a real powerful one who really was eating the offerings himself, who really was kept hidden in the furthest recesses of an enormous tabernacle, hidden in darkness and surrounded by smoke. But does that sound like the story of an almighty God? Could these ancient stories of a fearful dragon ruling over his humans have been mistakenly translated as stories of Yahweh? How can a name associated with Almighty God also be associated with such a fearful, fiery figure? In the final edit of the Hebrew canon, did the editors paste the holy name of God over stories of completely different kinds of entity? I think it's that translation confusion that has really muddled the picture. Now, there's a very broad consensus among Bible scholars that the final edit of the Hebrew Scriptures was done in the 6th century BCE, and one of the main agendas was to present the stories of the Hebrew canon as if it was a seamless story of Almighty God, the cosmic source, from the very first verse of Genesis onwards. But unfortunately, what that meant is that they pasted the holy name Yahweh over these other texts that are about something else. What I argue in the Scars of Eden and Escaping from Eden is that we should use the root meanings of the words in the text, so that the stories of the powerful ones are the stories of the powerful ones, the stories of the dragons are the stories of the dragons, and that when God, the cosmic source, makes an appearance, well, let's call that God. But if we muddle them all together and call them all God, we end up with a very distorted picture where we're all laboring in fear and terror of an almighty entity that will torment us forever if we get it wrong, that is very unforgiving, can turn on a dime, terribly violent, and has no empathy towards us. That's all a confusion that has resulted from our forgetting that many of these stories are our ancestors' memories of the traumas we suffered when we were invaded by extraterrestrial forces in our deep past.